Hi guys, welcome to another Instagram live story time with me, Piers Torday. The last of the week. It's a bank holiday. It's a beautiful day. I hope you're having a good one. And if you're joining for the first time, I'm reading out all my books, chapter a day, while the lockdown continues and while the schools are shut. We're currently reading and making very good progress. We're up to chapter 33, my goodness, of The Last Wild, my first book. Hello, Luke and Esme. Nice to see you. And depending how long this goes on for, we will get as far as my latest book, sixth book, The Frozen Sea. But in a way, I hope we don't. And if you are joining us for the first time, we're telling the story in The Last Wild of Kester, a boy who can't talk to people since his mum died 6 years ago, but he can talk to animals. This is really important because he lives in a world where nearly all the animals have disappeared thanks to a mysterious virus. But he has found a few that have survived. They call themselves the last wild animals left on Earth. And they're led by a great stag. And along with their friends are white pigeons, some grey pigeons, a wolf cub and a cockroach. And Kester's friend Polly, they are taking the animals to Premium, the capital city of their island, to see if they can find his dad, who's a vet, and hopefully a cure for the virus. They have escaped Colours, who are awful people sent into the countryside to kill animals to stop them spreading this virus. And they've escaped a farmer who's leading a rebellion because of all the food shortages. And they've also just survived a sort of animal graveyard, a forest of the dead. But in that forest, they found a whole load of other animals. And now they are approaching Premium, the capital city, not just a stag and a few pigeons, but a whole train of animals. And that is where we pick up the story for chapter 33 of The Last Wild. And we're starting a new part as well. Welcome to the City, part 6, chapter 33. The next morning, as we begin our journey again, it feels like the dark forest will go on forever. Every single one of us still calling as loud as we can, when we are suddenly pushing through the thorns and twigs into an open field. Underneath the weight of Polly and me, the stag pants for breath. He's growing weaker by the hour. Every now and then his back shudders or he trips, groaning in pain as he does. But what we can all see is that beyond the hedge, at the edge of the field, there is a cliff, and below the cliff, a road. And at the end of the road, lying spread out beneath us, like someone whipped away the carpet of green, is a plain of buildings and bridges, signs and billboards and barriers, all leading to one place. A forest of glass towers, rising out of the ground like they were forced up from the earth's crust. Towers with domed roofs and red lights blinking like eyes through the cloud. Rows of windows glittering from top to bottom. Glowing homes and offices and factories of more people than have ever lived together before on this planet. Lights that are always on, pulsing day and night, rays and beams reflecting off the glass roofs and walls, rising up into the sky above, brighter than even the stars themselves. My head is swirling like the swollen clouds in the sky above. I don't know if what Ma said about Dad is true. I don't even know if we will find him here, and even if we do, whether or not he will have a cure. I know that I'm taking these animals to the most dangerous place I could. But for now, for this one moment, looking down over the glass and the lights, none of that matters, because I realise that after all this time, I'm finally coming home, to where I belong, to where everything started. Premium, my city. Before we go any further, I count all the animals. One stag, very tired. One wolf cub, the least tired animal in the whole world, according to him. One large cockroach, in my pocket, asking why I didn't take a roll call before now. One harvest mouse, still doing the stationary dance of very long sleep. 99 grey pigeons, although hard to count exactly as they keep moving round all the time. One white pigeon, who has just started singing again on his own, now everyone else has stopped. Other birds, nicer sounding than the pigeons, about 12 in total. 2 otters, still wet, even though we left the river hours ago. Do they ever dry off? 1 brown hare, very old, and assorted rabbits, 6 polecats, 4 pine martens, a red squirrel, good for nuts, a toad, really likes Polly, a hedgehog, keeps himself to himself, lots of flies and butterflies, different kinds, haven't had time to ask them all their names, not as many wasps, various bats who do not like flying during the day, beetles, earwigs, etc. Wolf cub refuses to carry them. Well over 100 animals, nearly as many as the wild we left at the ring of trees. Not every animal died. A breeze blows in over the top of the cliff, ruffling our hair, making me dig my hands inside my pockets for warmth. Over there, among the towers and lights, there are other people, working, living, and in the middle of it all somewhere, Dad. I hope. I pull my scarf tight around me as the wind starts to grow stronger. Together we all slide down a path, zigzagging along the side of the cliff towards Premium's outskirts. Polly puts her hand in front of her face, against the wind. The toad waddles off her lap to take shelter behind her back. This wind has grown cold as well as strong. It feels like it is stripping the skin off your face. With every step it gets harder and harder to walk into, but at last we reach the bottom of the cliff. There's no shelter down here, nothing but bare earth and chunky chips of gravel, the wind blowing clouds of dust along the top, between us and the wire fence which surrounds the city. I look over the wasteland at the brightly lit windows of the towers. Normal people leading normal lives. I can see some of them, distant figures silhouetted in window frames. Perhaps the wolf cub can even smell them. All the animals go very quiet. I stroke the stag's dripping flank. He's so warm even in this chill wind. Up above, the birds, old and new, are tossed about in the air. The general digs around inside my pockets, hiding from the gale. I look at the wolf cub. He stands next to the stag and me, eyes narrowed, but the wind is pushing at his lips, pulling them back, blowing his fur and ears flat. I have never known wind like this. This must be the coldest wind in the world. We will defeat it, though. It is only wind. But just as we start to see the towers close up, the shapes of the domed roofs and the gleaming walls, the stag sinks to the ground, throwing us off in a jumble. Picking myself up, I can see his legs splayed out, his horns resting on the ground. What's wrong? He shakes his head, breathing like he's trying to steady himself, and mumbles something hard to hear above the wind. His side and brow are boiling up. The others crowd round, looking. Shaking, I press the button on my watch. Squeezing out the very last of the faint light left in its battery, I shine it into his eyes. Eyes which now burn a deep, pulsing red. How long have you known? I asked the stag. I had it from the start, when I first called, when I summoned you, he whispers. But your eyes, they look brown. You didn't say. The eyes are a late sign, as you know. He rolls his eyes up at me. And if I had told you I was ill, would you have accepted our quest? Would you have let me carry you here? The harvest mouse who had been clinging onto his horns jumps off. When the others in my nest were starving, when they were... She pauses, gulps at the memory. We used to do something. I don't know if it'd be any help now, but... This is no time for a dance, Mouse. She looks hurt. I would never suggest a dance at a time like this. What kind of self-respecting harvest mouse do you take me for, my lad? She scratches her nose crossly with her claws. No, if you keep your thoughts in your head for just a single moment, we help them like this. And she hurries up the stag's leg and onto his chest. The deer gives a low grumble, but doesn't shake her off, as slowly, not missing a single bit, the mouse begins with claws and teeth to remove all the mud and thorns and twigs twisted into his fur. I look around at the others. The stag is lying stretched out, surrounded by a circle of woodland animals, apart from the wolf cub, who sits upright behind me. He whispers in the dark. Normally, this would be my chance to avenge the stag for the death of my father. I should tear his dying carcass to pieces. The cub sounds matter of fact, but I will not, for now, out of respect for you, Wildness. I turn on him. He's not dying, okay? The wolf cub shrinks away, cowering. I turn back to the stag. You didn't say anything. Why didn't you? It makes no odds now. I have survived longer than I expected. I have carried you here as the dream said I would. The wind hits in rolling gusts like jabs in the side, each one making us flinch. Now you must go on and leave me here. Take the others, find your father, and find us a cure. Find us all a cure. Hurry! I glance up at the darkening, brooding sky. There's no way I'm leaving you here, not after everything. All of that is meaningless unless you find us a cure. I will rest here until you return. I thump my fist into the ground, spraying him with a burst of loose soil. We can't leave you here on the edge of the city. Who knows what could happen? Anyone could find you, colours or worse. You're not well enough for us to leave you on your own. You will go faster without me. Then what's the point of it all? Telling me to be the wildness, telling me to make decisions, to take charge, and then when I do, you don't listen. We can't leave you here. You'll die. Maybe, Wildness, says Wolf Cub, nervous I will turn on him again. That is what he wants. But it's not what I want. He can look after himself. He's taken care of us all the way, hasn't he? Says Polly, touching me on the back. The others begin to drift even further away from the stag, towards the light, as if they have decided already. I kneel down by him again. He's so weak I have to really strain to hear him. You are a good Wildness. I have trained you well. But you must trust me now. This is the right thing to do. Foamy mucus drips out of his mouth onto the ground. The only thing to do. I stroke his soft, wet nose and his chipped horns. He's carried me so far. I didn't have anything before I met the stag, and now... Oh, yes, you did, Kester. He murmurs, a glimmer of a smile in his burning eyes. Just promise me, I say, trying to ignore my tears, that you will be all right. And I promise we will come back and find you, and we will make you better. He grunts. Then his tone changes, just like the wind. Go now, before a storm comes. Go! I need no further telling. I touch his warm head once more, stand up and turn around to face the city fence. As I do, my watch vibrates with a last spasm of energy. I glance down and have to strain to see two words, only just visible on the dying screen. Give up. I turn the watch off. Give up? That is the one thing I'm not doing, whoever or whatever is trying to tell me. I feel so full of fire that I don't think a whole regiment of colours could stop me now. The wild is waiting. Beyond the fence there are towers, lights, people and machines. Everything that used to feel normal. And now I don't know how it will feel. But without waiting another second, I start striding straight towards the fence, Polly hurrying behind me. Where are you going, Kester? Wait! You can't just walk into Premium with 100 animals. Watch me. And that is the end of chapter 33 of The Last Wild. What is Kester going to find when he enters the city? We'll have to find out on Monday. No rutting exercise stakes. It's a bank holiday. We all need a bit of a time off. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Stay home, stay safe, and I will see you next week. Thanks a lot.